Hey everybody. In today's video, I'm going to show you the product of some garage printing sessions that my sister and I did. This is going to be a multiple parter. Today I'm going to show you my printing, and then I'll show you my sister's printing during the same session. I am continuing the process that I started with putting charcoal onto my plate, but we bought some new paints, and I also was using a new gel press, and this funny thing happened with the combination of these new paints and the new gel press, and it's something I call breakthrough color, and you'll see what I mean. But first, here's just the charcoal in a nice grungy blue background. I'm sprinkling some more charcoal on here. I always blot it with, I just have a page of a hymnal. It seems to just kind of freeze the charcoal in place, which is really nice. I'm using a little hand dryer here. This is my favorite because it applies no heat. So it is very, very powerful. So I'll put a link to that down in the description. This is something my sister found, and it's just been phenomenal for printing. We print outside, and it's pretty humid here, and this just really helps speed up the time in between layers. Now, there's some brighter colors with the charcoal, and it just looks amazing. I love it so much. So now I'm going back to this new pigment. This is a Paynes Grey that I just love, and I'm adding a little bit of gold and a little bit of white, and I'm going to roll these out together, and you can see in the center of my plate these little voids forming. And the whole time I was printing, I was trying to figure out what this was, if this was because I was using a new plate or if it's something about these particular pigments. I did not end up figuring out which it was because it seemed to happen kind of randomly, but I got the coolest effects of this, and you're going to see what I mean. I've cut out a lot of the drying. I dried these for a lot longer, but it's boring, so I cut that out. Now I put this really fluorescent orangey pink on the back, and you can see how it comes through those little voids. And this is why we print on these picture frames. We put our gel plate on a picture frame so that we can flip it over and check and see how our layers are looking and see if we want to add anything else before we pull it. So it's a great setup. This is, again, one of my sister's ideas that has just worked out so great for us. Now I'm pulling this with white, and that's to intensify the appearance of the hot pink orange color that's popping through the blue. It's a little bit more transparent than the Paynes Grey, and so the white really helps it pop out of those little voids, and it looks so cool. This is one of my favorite prints that I did. It's amazing. Oh my gosh. So I set out to recreate this, and I had done a technique last time. Now you can see the voids forming with the gold here. I had done this technique last time with starting with the metallic, just a very thin metallic layer, and putting that over colors, over meaning it's the first layer on the plate, so it'll be the one that's on top when I go to pull the print. And it worked out great. It worked out really, really beautifully with some magazine prints that I did that I probably also have on video somewhere, and I will try to turn those into an edited video. But I'm using a stencil here, and I'm blotting out the open areas with some of this crepe paper that I'm really loving lately for using with the gel plate. It gives really clean lifts when you're using a stencil. And I'm going back to this fiery hot pink and orange combination that just looks so great. Then I'll use my little hand dryer, and I will use a thin layer of white to lift this with. You want these layers to be thin, these pulling layers. You should be able to see the dried layers underneath when you go to pull a print. Otherwise, you're risking leaving some of the paint on the plate and not getting a clean pull of what you wanted. And I didn't always remember to show the camera the print. Sorry about that, but I'll show them all to you at the end. Now I'm going back to my favorite. This is the Paynes Grey with a lighter blue, and you'll see the voids pop out again. So this is the point where I thought, well, it's got to be one of these pigments. And I looked at the pigments, and they all started with PK. So there's a chance that it is the pigment and not the plate. I didn't have enough different colors that had that PK as the first pigment listed on the label to really do a scientific experiment where I could recreate it with every single PK-based pigment. But, I mean, I think it's safe to assume that the pigment has something to do with it because a lot of these other colors are just not doing this. Now, to fill in these voids, I'm using the hot pink. And you can see I didn't get that first layer quite dry enough, so I left a little bit on the plate, but I don't mind those pops of white. This is such a fun technique. I love that fluorescent color popping through. It's really great. And I can't stop using this color, so I'm just going to keep going here. I'm actually going to mix these together this time for more of a kind of a vibrant look and just some different color combinations. I find that I really get in a rut and I tend to use the same color combinations over and over again, especially if I like them. And so I wanted to get out of that and do a little bit of a mixture here. Now I'm realizing that America has lost the ability to create the type of seal on a container where you pull off kind of a thin plastic layer. So whether it's sour cream or these paints, which were brand new, so I'm opening all of them as we're printing in the garage. These are universally terrible. I like this Credo queso. It's amazing. Can't get it open without a knife. Vitamins, can't get them open without a knife. These paints, I fought with these so hard. I ended up using scissors to get these off. This is a kind of technology that used to work all the time. We had so many products that had this kind of seal on them. And now they make them either without a tab that you can grab and pull, or if it has a tab, it just comes completely apart and the container stays closed and you have to fight with this little plastic film. So I would like someone to write a manifesto about getting back to where this technology worked, because I literally fought for probably 20 minutes of my total printing time opening up these new paints. Now on this one, I'm going to actually help along the little voids by removing some paint from my first layer with some of this crepe paper. I'm using both a stencil and then just a little wad of the crepe paper to get both pattern and just some kind of random lifts in there. And then this will have kind of a larger area to pull the brighter color from behind the first layer through to the front. So I'm hoping this will be really fun. I'm drying this layer. This great little fan, it has some variable speeds, which is really nice. So before this, we were using the fans we were using to stay cool in the garage and just kind of walking over and holding up the print. But the airflow wasn't as directed as these are, and it took like 10 times as long. I use this when I'm drawing matte medium, when I'm doing collage or working in my art journal, and it's just phenomenal. Ooh, look at that. I love that. Oh my gosh. So I dried it and I'm going to pull it. This is one of those times where, because I can look at the other side of the print on this little setup, and I'm so excited about it, I'm just terrified that I'm not going to get my lift layer right and half of it's going to stay down on the plate. So it's like a blessing and a curse. I love being able to see what the print's going to look like, but then I'm just fearful when I love it that it's not going to come out. But that is beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at that. And those little voids plus the detail that I pulled out is just amazing. So you can see why I kept going with this color combo. This is a light kind of French blue that mixes really beautifully with the Paynes Grey. And then, of course, the white really helps just kind of pop it out. I like the little touches of gold. I'm still using way too much paint here, so just kind of take a look at what I put down on the plate and know that you only need about half this amount. So don't be like me. Now I'm going to put some little sticks down and pick those up and leave some little marks in there. I'm also going to do the same thing with the stencil and lift out some little patterns. So you'll just see some randomness here and there, so we can have some bright colors coming through there. And then I will dry it, and we will repeat this process again. Now I'm putting the hot pink. This is one of my favorites, as you can tell. It's becoming obvious. And then I will put a little bit of the yellow. This is like a bright, pure, really a pure yellow, like a primary yellow. And I like it because it mixes beautifully with these fluorescent paints. And then I'm going to flip it and look at it. And sure enough, it just looks great. But you can see when you're watching me flip these over, and you can see through to the other side, you can see how much more intense the white makes it after I put the white on. So like rewind the video and look at the color of the pink before I put the white on, and then look at how it comes out on the print. You can see how much brighter and more solid it is by having that white backing. So I really do recommend lifting with white for this technique. So I'm just going to let you walk through some of the prints from this session. Like I said, I'll have at least one more edited video, probably two, when I get the time to edit them, that you can take a look at the garage sessions. Thanks so much for watching.